Good evening, curling fans, and welcome to Surrey, BC for the 2026 Canadian Mixed Doubles Championship. My name's Brian Chick. With me tonight, Marty Thompson. We're coming at you from Cloverdale Curling Club for the Canadian Mixed Doubles Championship. After a slight delay, there were some issues with the ice. So practice for that first game was started. We're, I guess, 40 minutes late getting this one going. But we will get this draw in tonight and another one after that. So stay with us. We got a big Saturday night. Marty, how you doing today?
Not too bad. Thanks for having me, Brian. Looking forward to some really good doubles play. It's been a long season for these curlers, and the Olympics just seem like a lifetime ago still, too. But yeah, I'm really excited for this game in particular, for sure.
Yeah, you said the Olympics, and now we're into the women's worlds. Now we've got mixed doubles. We've got juniors coming up. We've got men's worlds coming up. It's just not all-you-can-eat buffet here with just curling on top of curling. So if you're a fan, you're in luck.
I think we have lots of folks, too, that as every 4 years introduced to this mixed doubles discipline that is so unique in so many ways and so fun to watch, especially with these two out here throwing today.
Our feature sheet, you see them right there. Jennifer Jones and Brent Lang. These two have done everything there is to do in this sport, and they're still going at it strong. Obviously, Jennifer Jones, world champion, Olympic gold medalist, 6-time Scotties winner, also very competitive in this mixed doubles. It's the only curling that she actually competes in anymore. Brent Lang also, his resume's not too shabby either. So they're going up against a team out of Quebec from Boucherville of Sophie Sans-Cartier and Max-André Caron. Probably less familiar with them, but they are the Quebec champions. They did win the provincial title. Some teams here qualified through the province and the playdown process. Others have gotten in on mixed doubles ranking points. So we have the Quebec champions against Jones and Lang, and we are underway already right here in the first end.
Lots of good action in the forefoot, as we'll be used to here in mixed doubles, of course, with that placed rock up top. Jones Lang with the hammer in this first one.
We just kick it here.
Yeah, there are things that you say again during these mixed doubles games, but those first opening shots, those first setup rocks really define how the rest of the end is going to go. If you can place those lead rocks right on the top of the button and get those freezes and angles in your favor, that really defines how this game goes for you.
No, sorry. No. Nice shot.
And just like that, yellow looking pretty good. Nice shot there from Brent Lang.
Yeah, this is a team that in Jones and Lang, they like to get those angles in the forefoot. They're really aggressive in the doubles discipline, but they really are not afraid at shots like that. You know, you play doubles a little bit, you're maybe thinking draw first. This is a team, if there's anything ever exposed, they really punish you for that. You just saw those stones just poking out on the outside of the forefoot, and that's really tricky if you're going to take this team on. They are not going to shy away from removing stones like that.
I think a lot of teams in doubles really, like you say, offense first, just need to freeze and tap and draw and get all those finesse weight shots. Maybe rely on it just a bit too much when things aren't shaping up. That you just saw Lang do a great cleanup job, but I think other teams maybe should sometimes switch to that mode a little bit sooner.
Yeah, there's, you start the end, and obviously with the idea that you can't remove any stones at all through the first good chunk of the end, that you get kind of maybe stuck in that mode. But I think you're right. It's the teams that can adjust and see those opportunities. And case in point, that double takeout completely changed the complexion of this end. And they're really in the driver's seat here, especially with the hammer.
Yeah, you saw Max-André Caron go a little bit heavy and wide, chip off, which really opens the door for Lang here. If he can lock this one right on the top of the button like he's about to do, now red is in a heap of trouble.
Great tolerance there from Lang, too, just making sure that they didn't overthrow it. Anything above the tee line is typically gold in mixed doubles. Obviously, with those extra yellows in the forefoot, it's even more so.
Yeah, one thing that I say over and over and over again when I'm coaching or teaching is like 99% of the time, short's better than long. You can leave them in the way. You can always improve those shots, but if you're bouncing off those rocks in the back of the forefoot, you're just creating a big pocket for your opponent to take advantage of.
Probably the same.
A big shot here for the Quebec champions. You know, this is the other thing too. This is their first national championship coming in. Of course, they've had lots of experience on that really tested Quebec tour, but you know, you'd hate to give up a big end to start.
And that is not going to help. Now a real big opportunity here for Jennifer Jones to twist the knife and put up a big score right out of the gate. These games are only 8 ends. They do tend to go really quickly. As a it's still Brent's shot.
I think our scoreboard is just a couple shots behind, I think.
Yeah. So Brent's got one more to throw on the pile here. I didn't think it was hit turn yet, but I was looking at the graphic there. So he's going to throw the same shot he just threw, lock another one into the pile, and then Quebec will still need a little miracle to get out of this without too much pain.
And see, Jones and Lang too, they're a very aggressive team. You would think, you know, in this instance, you know, let's maybe just try to keep our tolerance a little bit light, but they're certainly wanting to go in and really try to make the last shot even harder. That's not a bad spot at all.
Yeah, again, shorter being a little bit better than heavier here. If he chips off that and creates a pocket, it gives Sophie a chance to lock one in, but being short and in the way now, she's got to throw some weight and see if she can get maybe 3 of these yellow ones spinning out. It'll go yellow onto yellow onto yellow onto yellow, and if you can throw it hard enough, some of them might go.
Yeah, really tough
right
shot
now, this is damage control here.
As that last rock thrower, just having to throw, this is your first, you know, real quote-unquote last shot of the tournament. Tough spot, but, you know, lots of yellow still to hit here for this Quebec champion.
So big shot coming here for Sophie Saint-Cartier, looking to make some yellow fly. We'll see what the result is. We get yellow, 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 but jams, and yellow does appear to be sitting 4 still. So Jennifer Jones will have a in-turn draw for a piece of the forefoot to put 5 on the board right out of the gate.
Really hard to make them all go. And again, lots of pressure in your first national championship. Look, you know, you might be tempted to turn this game off right out of the gate. I will say, you know, this is what doubles is all about. Sometimes you give up a big end and you're still in it, really. These games can flow back and forth even with someone like that throwing the last stones for one of the teams. So this Quebec team certainly not out of it, but really, really good opportunity here for Jones Lang.
On the other thing you say, it's their first national championship. I don't know how high to count if we're going to combine how many national championships Brent Lang and Jennifer Jones have played in. But I think you need more than a couple hands. And they're not going to be intimidated by anybody out there. And right to the top of the button. 5 on the board, it looks like, but they will have a quick look. And Jones and Lang, 5-0 after 1. Not the start the team from Quebec was hoping for, but like you say, big swings on the scoreboard are pretty common in this discipline.
Yeah, you just gotta kind of reset here, and you know, it's funny you mentioned that, comparing the experience between these two teams, Brian. You know, it's one of those things where you'd almost want to play a team like this first in an event, right? You kind of want to get a game like this out of the way. You know, we see the crowd here too in Surrey. Like, you know, you play a team like this, and you know, I was fortunate enough to play these two this year, and you know, people kind of come out and watch, right? There's a bit of you know, there's a bit of energy around seeing someone like this play in a barn like this. So, you know, it's kind of trying to get that a little bit under control, maybe a little bit under pressure. Obviously some nerves in your first national championship against a team like this, but trying to kind of harness that and flip that back around. And again, just really trusting it's mixed doubles. You know, I've certainly given up 5 in a first end, and I've still won a game. So, you know, it's really still anybody's ball game. Just got to recenter yourself and focus on the task at hand.
Yeah, and definitely, you almost have to approach this one if you're the team from Quebec, just as, you know, there is no pressure. I mean, it is a national, but you're going against you know, first ballot Hall of Famers here, so you might as well use that game to get comfortable, to settle in, to do what you can. But like you said, it's almost better to get this one off the schedule early.
Line only, we're right to it.
Whoa, then.
It's a really good group here too. They've got, you know, Neil McDonald's in this one, weak steep.
Curl.
This one's gonna curl in pretty nice.
Mine's good.
Yeah, these 28 teams in this event divided into 4 pools. So each pool has 7 teams. You play the other 6. Winner of each pool goes straight to the quarterfinal, and then the next 8 best records stay alive in the playoffs. So you want to win your pool, but if you can put up, you know, 5-1 will probably get you through, and 4-2 might even if you have a good shootout. But right now, you just got to take it one shot at a time. See if you can figure out the ice. See if you can figure out how to make some shots, and just try to build on everything you can early in this competition.
Just looks a bit heavy there from Sophie Saint-Cartier. You know, her draw game, really a key part to this team's success. Even going back to that Quebec Provincial, they won that final 8-2. You win games like that in doubles because, you know, you just managed to sink that first draw and really put the pressure on. I think they only gave up 7 points in the whole provincial across 5 games. That just shows that first draw, getting right to the pin or just above it and really putting that pressure on and really forcing steals. Unfortunately, that one's just going to be at the back, and it's going to allow someone like Brent Lang to come right on top.
Brent just a little heavy, but he's not going to lose sleep over that one.
You know, like you said, anything behind the tee line is you know, is an area of diminishing returns in mixed doubles, and I think this is a great example of that. Just that ever so slightly heavy first draw. It feels like this Quebec team is chasing again.
Yeah, already. However, there's a little more hope for them in this one. There's a little more space to move these rocks around. If he can get inside to the center line side of the one that Brent just threw, he can chip it back and maybe sit at the top of the button with some backing. But now this is all about managing the line and the weight, and really have to flirt with these guards when you're going for the perfect line. He's well past it, but it looks like it's pretty close. Trying to get a little extra curl out of it. Just move it far enough. That's a nice shot there from Max Andre.
Being a little conservative with that guard, you know, chipping off that center guard is usually a pretty bad result. Starting the week, you know, they had the chance to practice here yesterday, but you know, the more you play an event, the more both players are just going to try to cheat a little bit on that guard, understand that draw to the button path a little bit better, and start to get some better results too, because you always kind of want to see if you can sink that right underneath as best you can.
Always curl.
Can't hear you.
Line's good.
Top 4.
Yep.
Top 5.
You just see just how exposed that red one is if they could ever come back in.
Okay, it's over curl.
Get underneath it.
Get in the way of this guy. Curl.
Yeah, you mentioned the teams did have a chance to practice, but we also said there was a little problem with the plant earlier this evening, so it's hard to say how much the ice has been affected. It looks like the speed's good, it looks like the curl's good, but it might be a little bit different than what they played on yesterday. And that will catch some teams off guard.
Yeah, that's a good point. So a little chance just with that red one exposed that Max Andre thrown just to poke it back. I think your key is that you promote that red stone and put it in a decent position. Your shooter, see what's kind of how much roll they get depending on how much weight, but you kind of don't want to set up Brent Lang to have that chance to hit any exposed red into more red. We already saw how deadly he was basically down this same path the other way around in the first end.
Oh, you definitely want to keep the backing in play here. If you can chip your red, nudge the yellow, build a little wall behind. These are all set up shots, but yeah, the last thing you want to do is leave Brent a big waiter. This looks pretty good. Oh, but that's actually hard to do. With that much weight, to cross it just enough to miss the yellow, that's a little unfortunate, but that is a lonely yellow in there. If they can make that one the next time, keep the angle lined up, there is a chance that red could put a crooked number up. And Brent sees that too. They just want to get one in the way.
So I had here.
Yeah, that's the call. Just kind of play a little bit more of a protect shot on that out turn side. Yeah, you just see how much curl we're getting here in Surrey. I mean, that's, you really like to have that in mixed doubles, right? You love to be able to get in behind that guard comfortably, but also access different parts of the forefoot. Maybe even as we saw on Brent's last one, that yellow one, just over curling a little bit. It just makes that forefoot play a lot more interesting and also a little bit harder to make those really nice precise shots when you're getting that much curl.
Line's good.
So I think they settled just on kind of a top 12 guard maybe, or a tight guard. Really want to take away that tap and protect that one red stone sitting on the button.
Okay. Should I curl it?
There it goes.
Short?
Yeah, curl, 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 curl. A little bit more, a little bit more. Keep going, keep going, keep going.
Yeah, this is
Whoa,
a really good spot because, again, you look on that opposite side, the side that we haven't thrown many rocks on so far this end, but it's not looking very good for Team Red. Yeah, it looks like they're going to have to almost cross that yellow and push the red in is what they're first intimating it. Wouldn't want to throw that. That's tough.
Yeah, and you don't want to get forced into these, I don't want to say it's a Hail Mary, but it's harder than you want to be throwing at this stage of the game, because you know if you get down another point here, you've dug yourself a really big hole to get out of. So now you want to take on, maybe we can pull off a bit of a miracle here. Even though it's only the second end, you're looking for that big shot to turn things around.
Bit of weight up the middle, it looks like here.
Put it back. Just a guard.
Double peel.
Well, you got two guards out of the way. Yeah, shooter kicked out a little bit to the side.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tough to say how much from that angle, but I think it did move off the center.
Always be in a good spot as that last rock thrower to be able to throw something that's, you know, within tolerance, just protecting what they have. I know Jennifer Jones, obviously an accomplished curler, but still, you know, just to have that that opportunity to have a bit of tolerance is always welcome, thanks to some well-made shots throughout the end so far. I'd imagine that red is still exposed on the outside side. They're probably going to protect against today. Sorry, Brian.
I was going to say, well, Jennifer saw something she didn't like there. Somebody must have been moving behind the hack or something, because she, little balk, false start, but reset. I like that she went through her whole routine again, didn't try to ignore it, just started from scratch. She knows, obviously, what she's doing. I was going to say, if you're curious, there are a total of 5 games going on at this point. And if you want to see who's playing who, schedules, scoreboard, standings, etc., check out curling.ca/scoreboard.
Curl then.
This one's hanging a little bit wide. They're going to try to make a curl. You don't want to line it up.
Get it on there. Go,
And there may be a shot here now.
go.
Maybe a double raise takeout for 3. Even with soft weight, you can make this for 3.
Almost. That's not cool. I know you talked to him. It's
Looks like maybe it was the official that maybe just moved a little bit in Jennifer's shot there, but
I'd like 10 seconds. Thank you.
yeah, that's a big opportunity here for the Skip X side. You see it lined up just from that angle.
No, you have to stop.
Yellow, red, yellow, and if you can keep that top 4-foot red in play, it could be for a few. You don't really have to throw this one very hard either. Like, you know, backline, hack, weight. You just have to move that yellow off the button.
Already, okay. Line was decent.
Big shot here for Sankarche.
Yeah, this could get them right back into it. Although if they're taking ice where he indicated that she might be throwing it a little harder than I was talking about.
Yeah, just aim for that opposite hack and just fire it, I guess, eh?
Yeah, I would say there's a bullet, but it's more weight than I was thinking. Trying to make it curl. Yeah, just is hanging.
Might get lucky here.
And a steal on the board for Jones and Lang. That makes it 6-0 after 2. And we're going to take a quick break from talking, but we'll be back with the third end just after this.
Sorry. There you go. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks.
Got 45 if you want a drink. Do you want a drink?
One. No, one.
Oh, maybe it's this way.
How much is Mitchell now? Just curious.
A minute and a half, I think. So that's not an obscene amount of time. You know, like it's not like they're going to be standing. I'm thinking Line's great. Line's good. Got to curl a bit. Line's great.
And here we go with the third end underway. Another almost perfect stone from Jennifer Jones to start it off. Get that number 1 rock welded right on the button.
It's a really good spot if you're just looking to play an end a little more pragmatically. You just ensure you have one exactly covered up, essentially. You know, the pin is still exposed, but obviously it's going to take a few shots to remove something like that. Bit of a theme
like
here, just wide here for Sophie Sankarche. Sorry, go ahead, Brian.
I was going to say the exact same thing. It just seems like Quebec's getting a little bit fooled on where to put the broom, and they've been consistently wide. Nobody has overcurled on anything.
T-line, they're right behind the tee.
Leaving on that, the first draw to the button there from Sankarche, just sailing through the 4-foot and almost just touching that button on the way by. So
Line's okay.
yeah, a bit of an adjustment to make even before the 4th end break. Just have a quick chat about where we're aiming You know, doubles is a little different too, right? Where in how they play it, you know, they don't necessarily have someone in the house. They're kind of throwing on those first and last stones. They're kind of throwing together towards the target. So just having a quick discussion because, you know, a bit of deja vu here in terms of yellow being in the front again after the first two shots at the end.
Yeah, one make and one miss really just opens the door, and then you've got Brent Lang throwing 3 now, and he's obviously pretty dialed in on draw weight. So we're going to say it again and again, those opening 2 shots really kind of define how the end's going to shake down. Back to your point, though, the other thing I was going to say, the one thing that I've noticed when I went from playing, you know, traditional 4-player to mixed doubles was the added steps in your, you know, routines. All of the game that you're used to is just a little bit different. And one of those things was getting in the hack and trying to figure out, what am I using for a broom here? How far out do I need to go? Am I throwing at the edge of that rock or the Kleenex box or the scoreboard or whatever? But even having to take that extra minute to figure out just was something that I wasn't accustomed to, and it really takes some getting used to.
And it's a bit of a, you know, it's a bit of a discussion too, right? Where, you know, Sophie might just turn around and just say, well, I was just wide on those, or, you know, and have a bit of accountability to their own shot, knowing you kind of have to call line for yourself, and how that kind of comes together, you know, to assemble a position where it's okay, if you're going to throw edge of 8, I should throw a little bit farther out wide. You know, it's a bit more of a collaborative process to find that right line. And it takes a lot of adjustments in game, and really kind of being honest about your throws, and being yeah, just trying to find that solution together.
One of my other coaching nuggets is not every throw is a winner, right? So sometimes you just have to own it. You know, just plain wide on that,
right? Yeah, and that's part of, you know, it's kind of, you know, do you want to just say, actually, I threw that one pretty good right now, or do you want to just be honest and hopefully make the next one so you don't keep making the same mistake, right? That's kind of the part of doubles, especially when you're throwing to nothing. That's really important, right? You, and again, counterintuitive to how we, growing up playing 4-person curling, kind of learned, or when you do a learn to curl, like, you know, you're not really supposed to be calling a line as the shooter. It's like, well, now you kind of have to, because there's no one else doing it, right? So it's kind of unwinding some of those things you've learned, but also there's a whole nother way to learn the sport, I find, with doubles, especially for folks that are somewhat new. You get to do everything. You know, you really get to be involved in so many different aspects, and it's a great way to learn.
Yeah, you definitely get thrown into all of the job responsibilities too. You know, you're obviously throwing, you're sweeping, you're calling line, they're involved with the strategy. So, yeah, right out of the gate, it forces you to take on a little bit more responsibility. I also feel like you're so much more exposed when it's just you and your teammate. Where, you know, 4-player, you can still sweep, you can still, you know, contribute for 6 other shots. Here, if you're not throwing well, you're not making shots, you really feel like you as an individual are letting one person down. And it's a very different mental game and a very different emotional game.
A chance to weld one in here on top of the yellows. It just over curled, and Jones Lang in a position here. What do you want to protect, and is there a way for you to corner freeze to really lock it in? I think they're deciding to throw up the guard. See if he maybe just
still
cross
looks
center,
like,
I think.
It still looks like yellow's sitting 2, and yeah, you get one just across center. Even that red just outside the 4-foot, the guard is maybe, if they can get another one across center, and that is going to really make that draw path tough, or getting access to those rocks in the 4-foot will be very difficult.
Okay, wait only. Are you to it? No. Okay.
Yeah, this is a bit, you kind of saw that wasn't their first choice from Jones Lang. It kind of started talking off the hop about just how aggressive they are. You know, it's not their first thought to want to throw up a guard and try to protect. They really want to get in there and be so precise and find those perfect freezes but sometimes something like this, you know, it really does do the trick. You're really forcing this team to make something extra precise, because any chip off of this red stone or this yellow stone, you're exposed. And suddenly Jones Lang on their last has a chance to really jam up the button.
Well, again, already they're playing the scoreboard knowing they've got a big lead. We can let these guys take 1 or 2, but the only way that they're getting more than 1 is if they run something back, blow it all up, and create some space. And by throwing that second guard there, I thought they were trying to take away the button path, but where Brent put it was more take away the run back. Either way, it's forcing Quebec to like perfect draw to the side of the pin with no bounce. And that if you make that perfectly, you can have your 1 point.
Two wins on the Quebec circuit for this team this year. Have a great doubles loop there. This is just one of the teams that has come out of that province and been exceptional. There's a couple really good Quebec teams here in action this week.
Here's that draw coming right to the button, but again, a little too much weight, and actually one does over curl on them now. That even if it misses the red, it's still probably going to chip off the yellow, but just 3 feet too much weight on that, and you basically get no results for being really, really close.
Yeah, your call here is just to protect this draw. They're talking about trying to freeze one really in there, but again, back to your point, Brian, about just trying to play the scoreboard. It also just gives you a chance to throw, you know, if you end up just throwing it like a little too far, it's probably going to be okay. You know, again, your worst case scenario is you just throw a little heavier and then you manage to make a pocket. So a call here from Jones Lang. So much pressure early on in this game. They've thrown the rocks really well. Obviously, they've had their fair share of misses from the other team, but you know, so much precision early on in this week from the 2023 champs.
Line's good. It's a little tight. Just gotta sit, Brent. Line's good.
Looks like Jennifer's just trying to take away this draw path. Really no need to get greedy and put another one on the top of the button. And I'd say that's mission accomplished. Really tough for Sophie to get any red near that button without playing this long run back off the one furthest left on your screen.
You were probably right.
And again, if you make it good for you, you get a point.
Yeah, lots of pressure.
And maybe not even like that. Neither of these yellows is going very far. So you have to absolutely nut it on the top yellow as we were just looking at it, and you have to stick it. Because I don't think that back yellow, the second yellow, is going to move even an inch.
It's just such a classic mixed doubles and narrative where those, you know, you'd say that the four most important stones that are in the house right now that are impacting that last shot, well, you know, they were some of the first shots thrown in this end, so it's really coming back to haunt this Quebec team. But yeah, I think that's the shot they're trying here, Brian, just that long run.
Yeah, maybe a thin half and send it right into the button. About half a rock into the button. Oh, just missed. That needed to curl up another half an inch maybe, but again, no points for being close. Jones and Lang steal 2 more, and we'll have a quick break. We'll be back with the 4th in just a minute.
all good. Nice. For like a little tiny bit.
Yeah.
So,
This way?
now this side.
Good? Good?
It won't be an issue, I think, for time, but we'll try.
You want to play the draw or do you want me to chip it?
Well, I mean, what are we going to play in a really tight game?
The draw.
Probably, right?
Yeah. So just outside. You think?
I think so.
A little heavier across the middle?
I don't think so
Okay.
now.
Okay.
And fourth and getting underway. And
Line's good.
Jones and Lang kind of running away with this one. That got a little error on our scoreboard. That was 2 more points for
Line.
Jones and Lang in that end. So they are up 8-0.
Right to it. Keep going.
And you see the power play has been declared. You want to explain that?
Sorry. I didn't think I was that way.
Yeah, San Cartier and Caron with their opportunity to play their one power play in the game, play it when you have the hammer. In this case, you know, obviously considering the score being 8-0, they're just trying to get back into the game, trying to generate some offense. Essentially, you're just dragging the rocks off to the corners like you would a corner guard. And in fours, you can't see where that place to guard is, but it's up there. Again, as your sort of traditional corner guard. So allows you to focus play out to the wings, and obviously, as you would like to in 4-person curling, just have a shot at the end for a big score. So yeah, I mean, I like how they played this now. You know, you want to kind of do one more. It was only the third end the first time around when they had the opportunity to play it. So yeah, I like this time, and see if you can get some misses out of this team, right? Try to make them throw some new paths. You know, again, we're early on in the week. Maybe there's a couple misses in this team if they have to throw something wide. You know, you haven't seen the ice out wide, so yeah, always a chance to get some misses here. As we see, they're talking to another set of Quebec teams off to the side. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, just to even give them a different look, you know, whatever we saw in the first 3 ends was definitely not going their way. So just saying, okay, what if we just switch it up a little bit? we can, you know, change up the routine a bit. But like you said, you're going to have to call the power play. Some people use it for offense. Some people use it for defense. And right here, now you get a miss out of Brent Lang. This could be an opportunity to get something going.
Yeah, I'd say, like, you know, playing it defensively would be, I think, in any mixed doubles players, you know, dream scenario in a game, right? You can kind of push it, you can keep everything out wide open, and, you know, you're able to kind of limit the damage in terms of, you know, giving up a big steal or what have you. You know, obviously it is called the power play though, so it's typically used to generate offense. Yeah, like, and getting something like that, right? Throwing out towards the wings, you know, maybe your teammate got it, maybe, like, you know, it's a different throw, right? And you know, you get something like this, and it's a big opportunity, especially when they're trying to throw it to the wings like that. You know, I'm not surprised that Jones Lang decided to kind of just meld one on there, but again, that's really throwing that inside out shot, at least from my experience playing mixed doubles, that's where you get a lot of misses.
You spend almost the entirety of every other end playing come around to the middle, and yeah, when you try to, you know, flip the script a little bit and go inside out, it definitely, I mean, depending on the sheet of ice, could be a totally different kind of action. And yeah, you may create some opportunities. Now, you could see Jones and Lang in the next end or two use their power play in that defensive mode just to kind of run for the finish line when they have a big lead.
Meantime, the shape is looking really good for St. Cartier, Caron. Just how exposed that one Yellowstone is. It's a really big opportunity. Again, even where those guards were, you're right, that miss from Brent, you know, that's a pretty big miss to leave that corner guard. So yeah, there's a stagger too. There's a big opportunity here.
Clean.
It does look like it's swinging quite a bit more, a little more aggressively inside out. It's going to the wing a little harder than it swoops back to the middle.
That's not rolling very far.
Brent just playing a nice soft weight hit here. Wants to roll this away.
Nice shot.
He does a little bit. I think he would have preferred a
Swept it aggressive.
bit more of a kick there.
Not a lot of wiggle room with it being back button. You got to make sure you make this hit and roll nice and precise. I think the other shot too is if you're trying to be really aggressive is almost kind of chipping off that red one and having all your red spill back towards the middle. Maybe you get lucky, maybe you end up freezing on that yellow one. You know, you just have to really think that aggressively when you're down 8-0. But well, this is as good as anything. You're really limiting the number of red stones that Brent Lang could start to remove on his next one if you make the shot perfectly.
Yeah, I think the important thing here is that you hit and stick. You have to stay around. Nose, while it may not be ideal, is better than rolling out. And then you might still have that little chip shot you were talking about later on.
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry.
You can roll a rock.
The hit and stick is made.
Turn you like.
Actually, it's not leader.
Looks like an out shot, and if we rolled that way, it wouldn't be bad.
Yep.
Of course, it's hard to
Jennifer
tell exactly how much weight they're throwing, but maybe maybe you're right, they got caught with how much it's curling inside out, just the fact he went right dead to nose there. Or sorry, outside in, I guess, in that case.
Yeah, but I think they missed. I don't even call that a miss. The number one priority was get rid of the yellow, and number two is you had to stick around. So yeah, you bring the weight down and play that nice, easier kind of board control weight. And you can't get so aggressive going for the roll that you
Just clean. Whoa.
you don't have the chance to make the shot you called.
Almost control.
Curl. Oh, clean. Yep.
This one hanging on Brent a little bit. Oh, there it goes. Spoke too soon.
Good. That grab for sure.
Looked like that was just tracking a little bit and wasn't going to grab the curl, but sure enough it does. And now you really have to go for the roll. You have a little more wiggle room than you did when it was on the back of the forefoot.
Still shaping up if you make the shot for
I just had a half second more. So
for
not
something
quite.
out of this end.
Yeah.
Yeah, Quebec still definitely has the chance to score at least 2, and if they can pull off a nifty little chip shot here, could bring in that third biter that's hanging off in the back of the 12-foot. And that's what you couldn't do.
Try to hit this.
Yeah, just a tough line call there from Sankarche. You thought it was just going to come over just a bit more, and it just did not. And again, maybe a miscommunication in terms of the weight thrown versus, you know, the line caller's guess in terms of what the weight is. But yeah, thin margin there for sure.
Yeah, I think that was probably just a hair more weight than Brent threw, whereas Brent's curled up from the hog line in. That really didn't do much, and it was probably the difference between maybe even just 1 second on the weight. You know, Brent might have thrown an 11, and that might have been a 10, and that's the difference of the few inches of curl that made the difference.
I don't have any space.
Yeah, there's a little there. So what do you see?
So it looks like
I
with
think the rocks are so
Jennifer
wide.
Jones's last, it looked like they're going to try to get a good piece of that red stone that's kind of frozen and maybe just push it back to be sitting second and third, and just allowing this Quebec team to draw for their 2 points. I think that's what the call is here.
I like control.
I think you can get there. I mean, you can see almost all of it kind of edge on edge. So I doubt she's going to overthrow it. Maybe just Well, it's a little more weight than I thought, actually. So she's throwing, I'd say, a good control, but has to flirt with that guard just a little bit to get to the nose. And it looks like it's pretty close. Even if you use, and sticks the yellow and rolls buried. I mean, that's just mean. Jennifer made that look easy. It really, you know, sometimes you just got to shake your head and say, okay, well, if you're going to do that, is the bar open yet?
Yeah, maybe not quite. Yeah, that's such a fantastic shot. You know, it's also obviously hard to tell on broadcast exactly what you needed to get there, but wow, yeah, that is just excellent.
You want to go to the bathroom, or that's?
You look at
Yeah,
the
we can
field
talk
and you have
about-
to think. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to talk about Jones and Lang. You know, you look at the field and what they potentially have a go against to get another national title. You know, obviously this is one game, but we know how well this team can play in doubles. You know, they've won this thing. So, yeah, I really wonder if they've maybe got another national championship under their belt here, potentially.
It's also just kind of a treat sometimes where we're talking about, oh, to make the shot, you have to do it just so or just so or just so. And you see somebody who's just dialed in, like Jennifer Jones says, no, I'm going to do it my way, and I'm going to make it look easy.
No doubt.
But there it is, a point for the team out of Quebec, Saint-Cartier and Caron. They trail 8-1 at halftime. So after the fourth end break, we're going to take a break ourselves, and we will be right back after this.
I can't prove it. Ça non, le pas mal, juste. Non, pas grand-chose. Huh? Good? Okay. Ouais, quand c'est
Sorry, I'm right in your way. Still have a full minute.
No problem. I was just wondering, is
Yeah.
it okay if we start early? Or?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't care. But, like, yeah.
Can we start early? Or?
Do you have to wait for the full? Yeah. Yeah, sorry. No, I don't care. Yeah.
That was two different questions.
Yeah.
Good. Can we or do you want?
Ouais, je vais prendre la place. 20 secondes.
You can go at 10, I think. So, yeah. I'm gonna say.
Yeah. Même pas que ta dernière était parfaite.
Yo, la place.
Hein? Attends un peu fort.
Squeeze
Yes, sir.
it.
J'ai pas eu celle-là. Non. Ah, c'est juste par rapport à quelqu'un. Juste par rapport à l'autre.
Wait only.
So, fifth end underway following the short break.
Line's good. It's got to curl a bit.
Jones and Lang actually lead this one 8-1.
Got to curl.
Sorting out some issues with the scoreboard. And Jones and Lang have hammer for the first time since the first end.
Traveled a little bit better.
Juste pour dire qu'on la recule un peu.
Yeah.
And for once, a little opportunity presented for the team out of Quebec. A pretty good opening shot from Sophie, and now just a little bounce from Jennifer opens the door a little bit to perfect those angles.
Yeah, Jones Lang now fooled a little bit just on the wider path to the draw to that forefoot. Yeah, it looks really juicy here for Max Andre. Couple different ways you can make it to. Obviously, just come right to the nose. You're still sitting with a red above the tee line and controlling one half of the sheet, but really want to get that roll underneath. That would be fantastic.
Ah, come on. Bien fort.
Back line.
L'accéléré.
Not sure what happened on this one. This is a lot more rotation than Max Andre had thrown on pretty much any other shot. That was a bit of a spinner. And sometimes you feel it picking in your hand and you just want to jar it loose, and that can really affect your release. But it didn't seem like he liked that throw very much.
Yeah, really unfortunate for this team. Just feel like you're chasing and you get that one glimmer of hope and something like that happens. It's allowing Jones and Lang to pick the guard and keep things nice, wide, and open.
Yeah, they're going to go into full defense mode. Like I said, a run for the finish line here with a 7-point lead. They do not need anything to be more complicated than necessary.
Je viens de le faire. Je viens de le faire, mais ça, je vais bien réduire.
Puis, baisse ton poids.
Non, ça, j'étais fort, mais... Okay.
We mentioned it before we went for break, and you know, just trying to assess if Jones and Lang could win this thing. Obviously, it is their first game, but they're certainly one of the contenders. Remember, it was just 2023 when they took down Peterman and Gallant in that final.
As you said, there are a lot of very good teams in this event, including some other past champion winners. And then you've got teams like Rachel Homan playing with Brendan Botcher.
Really excited to watch them. Obviously, they had their run at the trials, and actually to get in there through going through the pre-trials, which is just fascinating to see. You know, obviously the point system working in that way that they don't play a lot of doubles. They just need to kind of go in the old-fashioned way. Yeah, really interested to see how they stack up this week.
Yeah, Peterman and Gallant are in the same pool as Homan and Botcher.
Stay, like, or do you like just peeling it out?
And then, who else is in this one?
Whatever you see.
Jones and Lang have to deal with Laura Neal, Scott McDonald. They'll be playing later. Oh, no, that's maybe I was looking at a different schedule. The schedule has moved around a bit. Games that were on sheets C and D have been moved to B a little bit. I thought we had them next. We have Peterman and Gallant versus Cinnamon and Tau next.
Roll it.
Oh, that's later. Yeah, later on, yeah. Roll.
Sorry, all I could hear was.
Yeah, you know, then even like, you know, Powers and Saunders, Adams, Roby Show, these are teams that made the semifinals in last year's mixed doubles championships, and the lots are missing too, which is interesting, obviously, with Colton playing in the World Championship this year. So it does feel a little bit more open. So, you know, you could start to sort of piece that together, that someone like a Jones and Lang could make a really deep run in this one and really challenge. But at the end of the day, too, it's doubles. You know, you really cannot predict one end to the next or one shot to the next, let alone an outright result. So it's going to be a really fun week, and I'm always looking forward to this event. There's always just so many entertaining games, and especially just being able to tune in on YouTube like this is great. And yeah, just watch some really nice end-to-end curling usually.
Yeah, Neal and McDonald will play on the late draw tonight. That was scheduled to go for 9 p.m. local, so midnight Eastern time, but with that delay in the early game, it might be pushed back closer to 1. So I don't know how many people from St. Thomas or London, Ontario for the hometown crowd are going to be tuning in for that one, but they'll be taking on a team out of the Yukon, Gonsalves and Williams. And then our feature game, as I said, will be Peterman and Gallant versus Zoe Cinnamon and Johnson Tau.
Why don't I play it this way?
Yeah, I'd imagine they won't be playing the game at Joe Cool's in downtown London, so otherwise I'm not sure who else will be seeing it that late at night, but maybe some diehard fans will for sure.
Pick it clean. I think blast it out this way is fine. I think so.
So a bit of initiative here for this Quebec team, having these redstones again just right in front of those yellows. Jones Lang does have hammer though, so they're just trying to figure out how they could activate any of these stones. There is that biter at the back too. Got options in terms of just trying to clear out some granite and maybe still get a deuce here.
Again, making Jennifer's last shot easy is the priority, and whether it's for 1 or 2 or more, they're not too worried about that. They just don't want the team from Quebec to have any opportunity to steal. So Brent's going to throw a little heat here, see if we can rattle some of those reds around. And this is sailing wide. So he's just trying to pick that red off the top, but that's not the first time we've seen that. Bring the weight up a little bit, and it does seem to track dead straight.
It's another typical doubles miss too, right? You're not throwing a lot of big weight. So when you do have that instance where you do throw some weight and all of a sudden a rock really straightens out, or you find a path that just doesn't catch, that's a miss in doubles that you can't, I wouldn't say you can count on, but you can certainly expect to see from event to event, and quite a common one. So a big chance here for this Quebec team to push that yellow back and try to create again that little red wall in front. Try to force Jones to throw something tough here in her last.
Just give them one.
Just for people watching at home, C will be our feature sheet on the YouTube broadcast all week, and B will also have a static stream with no commentary. So if you're on B or C, you will get some YouTube coverage, and Marty will be doing a bunch of those games. I'll be announcing a bunch of those games, and we will have some guests pop in over the course of the week.
I think so.
Yeah, looking forward to a lot of games here. And we're going to get we see, you know, McDonald's and teams out in Ontario that have been playing quite well. Brunson Horgan as well.
Well, if you're the kind of person who watches a lot of Curling Canada games on YouTube, you'll be sick of my voice by the end of next week, because I'll be heading straight from this to the U20s in Sudbury and calling a bunch more games there as well. So, as we said at the top of the show, lots of live curling to watch in the next few weeks.
It just doesn't quite feel like the season's over, right? Even with the highs of the Olympics and with the Worlds going on, there's still lots more to come.
Yeah, the Olympics, you know, that 2.5 weeks in the middle of February forces everything either before it or after, and it feels like we're just really trying to cram in a whole lot after the fact. Jennifer opts to throw the double, gives the team from Quebec, Sophie Saint-Cartier and Max-Andre Caron, a single. They don't mind giving up that steal, but Jones Lang with a still commanding lead and hammer heading into the 6th. Take a short break. We'll be right back.
I think you won the power play.
Right. Sorry.
No problem.
I'm like, why am I setting up here again?
Perfect.
Oh, no, it's okay, whatever.
C'est soit qu'on met un garde ou on fait top 4?
Top 4 ou garde.
C'est soit ça ou on freeze, puis on espère qu'il y a un drap qui se manque à la fin. On ne va pas le chercher. Espérer un peu, il faut que tu essaies de chier un peu plus. On se met dans le centre. Je pense.
On peut aller garde.
On aura du garde.
En arrière du garde?
Ouais, freeze sa jaune, on va essayer de pacter ça.
It looks like Jones and Lang have decided to use their power play here in the 6th end, so Rock's set up on the edge of the 8-foot as opposed to the center line. And as I said earlier, I think this is them using it in a slightly more defensive manner, trying to keep everything clean. Don't give the team from Boucherville, Quebec, any chance to score more than one, and usually means that Jennifer Jones will have something pretty makeable for her last shot.
As we mentioned earlier in the broadcast, you know, you love to be able to play the power play in a more, you know, defensive, you know, sort of more pragmatic way, just trying to eliminate stones and keep it nice and wide open. It's something that it's interesting to see here from this Quebec team. They opted to not throw that nice tight guard in the center. You know, you tend to see, especially if a team is down this much, that, you know, they just want to kind of focus play back in towards the middle and hope that, you know, you could kind of mimic a regular game of a regular end of doubles where you just have that, you know, center line play. To chase in this instance, maybe, you know, they maybe see the game is out of reach, but you know, there's really nothing wrong with putting up a guard and just trying to come back in behind it if that's a team with the advantage or with the power play advantage does miss it. So interesting to see this for sure.
And it's funny you mentioned that, because that was my first thought as well. Is like the team that's losing in that case should really still try to throw a guard.
Well, if you do throw the 3 guard, the thing that is kind of interesting is you kind of make it a little mini game, right? You take out those corner guards, and then it's just the 4 of you really focusing play down the middle with that idea that there's a, you know, a yellow or a red stone sitting out to the wings that could potentially count as a second point. That typically allows you to be a little bit
Shot, do you want to peel?
a little bit more safer with your strategy, I'd say, because right now if you're, you know, this Quebec team, you are fortunate you made this freeze on there with the second one, but there's yeah, there's a little bit more tricky play knowing that you know, this Jones Lang team could just start ripping things, and they are right away here.
Yeah, we're about to see that from Brent Lang. Priority 1, make the guard go away, and step 2, maybe make contact with the ones in the house, but doesn't need the run back more than he needs the guard out of the way. And that is unlucky. Manages to remove both yellow stones and leave the reds, and that guard, the shooter's still up there somewhere. Wow, what a turn.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, big opportunity here. But again, the funny thing is, you know, that the middle's still wide open. So, you know, they could still try to throw one in behind the bundle of reds, which they should. But suddenly you need to start thinking, okay, how can we make Jennifer Jones's last shot a little more difficult when, you know, it might just end up being something wide open towards the forefoot.
Yeah, huge break there for Quebec, but like you said, it's asking if you're taking bets on whether Jennifer can hit the full 8. Well, I think you make some money most of the time. But light here, they will stagger these guards a little bit, so the run back is not easy. Double peel, however, seems to be in order.
Yeah.
What do you got to hit?
A quarter?
Okay.
Half probably rolls it enough. No.
Oof.
Ooh, and another just barely wide out turn from Brent. Don't know if that's how he's throwing them or that's just what the ice is doing with the big weight. Doesn't seem that you're getting any movement.
Half a rock. We're right on the edge of the rock, so I'm setting it this far.
Well, it's just straight, I guess. Yeah, I can take less ice.
And here's your, you know, your
The side's perfect.
classic power play theory again to kind of round out another conversation we had earlier. You know, playing the power play, just forcing the other team to throw shots they're not used to throwing and getting some misses. These are some 2 really big ones, to be honest.
And, you know, they could make both shots here perfectly and sit, you know, 4 by the end of the end. But like we're saying, Jennifer Jones will still have a very makeable draw, probably right to the forefoot. And this is getting near the guard. Sneaks it by. Nice shot there from Max.
It's funny just even ticking that red guard, and if it came in towards, you know, to be a center guard, maybe wouldn't have been the worst miss either. Yeah, again, they're looking to try to lodge one in. You just see again how aggressive this team is. See how close this was. Yeah, I guess tick with that weight, maybe it would have been a little far. Great sweep.
Enough to make that.
Do you like that better?
Yeah,
Right on the like just 7 tie?
I don't see the benefit of really worrying about the situation on the side now when you almost know for sure that your get out of jail card is a draw to the forefoot.
Yeah, we know it.
So I would be playing the draw now, not a run back, and just try to, you know, get to the edge of the forefoot, maybe corner frozen on one of those, maybe in the pile where you can eliminate some of the threat. But it looks like Brent wants to play the run back.
Still needs some execution here through the last couple stones of this end, but I mean, if you're This Quebec team, you have to kind of be thinking, if we do get a miss at the end, suddenly this game's back in. Back on, I should say.
Gotta go. Gotta go.
Brent looking to make some noise on the yellow-red combo. Gets one of them to go, so better than it was. Looks like Jennifer almost wiped out there with all the rocks flying. Never fun.
Just the come around here, I'm curious if they're not going to try to maybe even get a piece of the forefoot or try to almost go, I don't know, just maybe try to be like staggered on that, like corner frozen on that red one. Just try to shrink that drawing area, because I think you know what Jennifer Jones is going to throw. How do you make this as hard as possible?
I think you're kind of on the right path there. You don't even want to bury this. Maybe just get it edge on edge with the existing guard, cover a piece of the forefoot, make it look harder. That's half the battle some of the time. It's just, if it looks more difficult, even though it's not, it does obviously affect the perception of the person throwing it. This is well wide though and looks a bit heavy, so Jennifer might even have some backing here.
Alexandre trying to will this to slow down.
What line do you like?
I kind of like following, but yeah.
Here?
Yeah, that's a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, real story of the game too is
Yeah.
Sophie's draw weight. You know, we highlighted there at the start just how impactful it was during their provincial qualification to get to something like this, to the nationals. But you know, he's got to reset here. This game's likely it if Jennifer Jones can make this shot, and just trying to figure out what you can glean from what you saw from the ice from tonight. You're right, Brian, maybe the conditions have changed a bit from that practice, and try to reset, regroup, and you know, thankfully it is a long round robin here with these 7-team groups, so still lots of curling to be played out here in BC still.
The typical Curling Canada rules is that you have to play 6 ends of an 8-end game before you can concede. So should Jennifer make this shot, we might see handshakes, we might not, but it is an option rather.
With the power play already out on the board though, it's hard to see them wanting to continue to play.
Brent backing right off of this one. Looks like it's going to throw the brakes.
Whoa.
Or will it? Oh no, slides well deep. A steal of 3. I spoke way too soon. I apologize. So 8-5. No power plays left to use. We'll have suddenly a much tighter game coming back right after the break.
What I do?
La place. Girl?
Alright, I'll make some shots for you.
Girl?
J'ai pas de place encore.
Girl?
J'ai pas de... Faut que j'allais se graber, j'ai pas...
So top button, however you want to get there.
Okay. Juste un peu fort. Hey, je pensais que c'était fort.
Lead only. Line's good. Bit of room.
Ça, girl, ça nous aurait peut-être aidé, là.
Ouais, mais j'espérais qu'en angle...
Too much line.
At the same time, they're still well in control of this game, but like I said, the situation has gotten a little less comfortable for Jones and Lang, but like I said, they're still pretty much in control.
Oh, Jones with the same miss twice here, just heavy on that draw again, just to that back, well through the back 8. It's funny, we were kind of setting it up like the game was over, and like we'd said before, that in doubles you don't quite know, like giving up this 5-ender at the start, and this team is still very much in contention for the game. Something like Jennifer Jones missing a draw just to the 8-foot, that is something that is certainly common in the sport of this, in this discipline.
Well, I will say I was surprised. I was surprised when she put the broom down that she indicated that she was going to try to follow Sophie down and use the backing. Whereas we've been saying all day how great the draw weight is, how precise they are, putting those rocks in the 4-foot at very specific spots. When she said she wanted to use the backing, I kind of scratched my head a little, saying, like, they've been so good with their draws, the backing should not be in play right now. And it looked that maybe she tried to use it a bit and just overthrew it by a few feet.
Really good shape here from Caron. Saint-Cartier just corner frozen and really in a tricky spot. Jones Lang is going to have to go after this, but there will certainly be some red granite still sticking around. It's tough just knowing how well, particularly Brett Lang has been throwing their hits. You have to start thinking, okay, is it okay if we give up 1, maybe try to score 4? It's like, well, I think they're probably going to need to steal both ends here if they're going to want to have a shot. So, a tick of the guard. Interesting.
Not what Brent was looking for, but I think they don't mind it. They'd rather have that 4-foot open, and the next 2 are going to be howitzers, and you'll see some red granite flying all over the place.
Yeah, where their desired spot for this redstone is, they're
How's that weight? Look.
It's perfect.
going to go in. Left some debris on the ice. Thanks for cleaning up after yourself. Max Andre, appreciate it.
Tough to do that right in the middle of the shot, though. You can go back and get it. Go back and get it later.
Okay, they are guarding it. My apologies, but yeah, you want to just prevent that hit. Is it going to over curl? It did. The other key thing too is that doubles, you're on a clock and you don't really have a lot of thinking time. You can already put together here in this game how quickly it's gone through 7 ends. Something as simple as, like, I think I dropped something. You want to kind of sprint through it there, just for the sake of time.
You do see the clocks on the screen there. Jones and Lang have a few more seconds than Saint-Cartier and Caron, but both team also, they both have a timeout that they can use to stop that clock. So again, Brent throwing some weight, wants this guard out of the way, needs the shooter to get out. And mission accomplished, but again, I don't know if he's trying for the run back, trying to just, again, create space. I think that's kind of the name of the game in mixed doubles. You either want no space or you need to make space, depending on how those angles are lining up. But when the guards are well placed and your run backs have to go straight back, your shooter has to stay in the way. So sometimes a straight peel is better than making the run back.
So it's going to over curl a bit on them, maybe a lot.
Now on this one, because there is a bit of that angle, If it's half buried, you play the run back, but if it's open, yeah, I think I like what Jennifer's calling here. Try to, now, because if you do this right, you can make the run back and roll the shooter. I think this is a great result. No. See if they tighten up the ice here. Those out turns have been running real straight for Brent. I can relate to that.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, see, did you notice they just squeezed the ice by an inch or two? Jennifer moved her broom in. Yeah.
It's still just a smidge wide.
But again, it's better than it was. The guard's out of the way. They didn't leave the shooter in a bad spot. But now you see Sophie here trying to really kind of twist the screws. If they can put one welded, Jennifer's gonna have to draw a piece of the. Oh, I think he throw right in. I like where his broom is right there.
Yeah, it's just a bit. I think, you know, if you weren't chasing in the game, you know, it makes sense to kind of throw something high and force that draw in. But yeah, if you weld one in the right spot, you know, I don't know if Jennifer Jones has thrown many hits today. I'm trying to remember if there were many, but at least tempting her to throw something different, and then at the same time potentially making the draw harder. It's kind of that 2-for-1.
She did make the double to concede the steal in, whatever that was, the 5th probably. But this one, I think the red that is there is lined up on to at least catch a chunk of the back yellow. So it's not even a gimme if you can make contact. So if you can stack a 3rd on there, really makes you wonder if you want to throw the howitzer where the angles are not working out for you.
Girl? Girl? Girl?
Line looks pretty good here. How deep is it? Right to the nose. I'd say that's pretty good. I don't.
Man.
Red, you might get the middle red to spin out the side, but again, you're losing that yellow at the back of the forefoot. The 3rd red might redirect onto your backing.
It probably always goes off of it, so what I'm trying to figure out is
wow.
to make sure we're high.
What an end here from Sans-Cartier and Caron.
This might?
Yeah.
So, just on the nose.
So Jennifer's going to take it on, try to whip this one down here and try to spill as many reds as she can, but I think it seems tough to get rid of more than one, the way I'm looking at it.
I think that's fair to say. I mean, that you couldn't have asked for better angles for this Quebec team. Wow, so much pressure on this shot.
Is she throwing the out turn? She's coming at it from the center line side, trying to get a little extra kick.
Yep. Hard!
Hard on the line, have to hit this a little bit on the center line side. They cross it, and no, that's going to be a steal of 3. We have a tie game, folks. Holy cow, I did not see that coming about 15 minutes ago. So stay tuned. We'll have the exciting finish coming for you right after this. back-to-back steals of 3 by this team out of Boucherville, Quebec. The provincial champions are making a game of this where it looked like it was almost out of reach.
Down 5-0 after 1, and down 8-0 in the first half of this game.
That's insane. 8-0. And then went single, 3-3 to get themselves back into it.
It's so important in doubles to just not drop your head in any instance. Like if there's anybody who plays doubles at any level right now watching this is a perfect example. You're taking on, you know, obviously the pedigree of Jones and Lang, you know, obviously their doubles pedigree being national champions, getting this lead in the game and just going back and just focusing specifically, I find on drawway 2 here. Like Sophie has been dialed in here, finding this, you know, top button weight, just refining it, focusing, like recentering yourself, because at any point you can swing this game back in. They have really made Jennifer Jones's last shots like incredibly hard. Obviously the draw on the 7th was or the 6th rather was a bit of a gift, but that last shot was incredibly difficult. So props to them and staying in it and really putting the pressure on.
Yeah, we did comment earlier on that Sophie's draw weight was generally a little bit heavy, but the setup in the last couple of ends has just been fantastic. And she makes a good one. Jennifer makes a good one. So now what?
I think you're going to like this shape if you're St. Cartier and Caron, just because you can start to do some corner freezes here. You can start to find ways to eventually lock one in there in behind. You know, you understand that Jones and Lang are probably going to start ripping some stones. It helps your shot too, right? Remember, you're back there and you're frozen on in your shot. Just trying to complicate that forefoot as best you can right now. And I mean, like, Brent Lang's run backs aren't like a gimme either. You know, that's always an opportunity here just to kind of send something back and try to clear it out, just knowing he's had that miss on his out, or in missing and just floating out a bit. If you make this one, I think you're in really good shape.
Yeah, to see Brent, you know, just flash a peel. You know, you might see that once in a blue moon, but to see him do it twice was definitely a shock.
They won't mind tapping yellow up like this. You know, you've got an avenue on the right side of our screen there, just tapping the same red you threw to clear it out. Obviously, the out turn here, if you're a right-handed thrower coming the other side, isn't as nice. You can just see with Brent Lang there, yeah, just see how it's exposed. But you know, you've got options. You're gonna have to start pushing some red stones back and start making some room. Yeah, this is really nice. I mean, obviously, if Jones Lang clears this out, you might see the guard go back up, but eventually, I think this Colonel St. Cartier team can just sort of punch that back in and make a very similar red stack that they had in the 7th end and force Jones Lang to try to draw in. Could very easily
Brent trying to deal with this guard, trying to, I think it's probably the straight peel. And it is. And I expect we'll see that put back maybe twice. And on that last shot, make the one count. And potentially, if you can, you know, assume the peel is, the guard is made, you peel it, the guard is made, you peel it, then you play that little tap on the red yellow, and yeah, Jennifer might have something difficult.
You see that, right? Just that, and then the little, you could get even like a little roll off it. If you made it perfect, there's 3 reds with a lot more space in a line, but you know, you're, depending on where you even get that roll, it might even be like a draw to the pin. Definitely some precision needed on that last one to make it super good. But I mean, the fact that this team is in this position, you know, in control in this end so far, just putting up guards, and then with a shot to really force their opponent into something difficult is it's just such an incredible performance. What a comeback.
Guard well placed there from Caron.
That's the perfect shot, right?
Yeah,
But I think it's one too early.
I agree.
Jones and Lang just thinking for half a second, is it worth trying to change that 4-foot situation? Can we draw another one in there? And, you know, sometimes that's tempting. Where, well, if we change, we know what their plan is. Let's change our plan. But I think this is the right call.
Non, par la rouge. La rouge, c'est plus la table direct. C'est bon aussi. Ouais, juste je vais pas l'intervention tout de suite.
Straight peel. Gets enough of the red. They go flying. And now we are into the end game here.
Lui, il vient ici. Il en a parlé comme 2-3 fois. Chat-là. C'est soit ça. Ça, c'est comme. C'est pas une catastrophe non plus.
To get to their timeout here as well. I know we just got 2 minutes on the clock, but
ça, c'est l'idéal.
yeah, just trying to make sure they make this as precise as possible.
Pas plus que ça.
Non, juste la casser ici. Un petit peu en angle ou non.
Puis à la limite, tu sais, si on curl trop, je pense.
Non, si on curl trop,
Si on curl trop, on s'en vient là.
I don't think you want to leave a pocket for them to draw into either, right? If you end up sort of pushing that Yellowstone farther back in just in that back 4. Maybe you do, I guess. I guess I see what they mean, because they know they're going to, Jones Lang are going to blow it up, so maybe just a red runs into the yellow. Looks like we're about the only game on the sheet here. I know those who are watching this game here and in the club are quite fortunate they did. What a comeback.
So it looks like, I think they're calling the guard once more and just trying to get it almost a split center line, but kind of tight, because that makes the tap freeze on the yellow difficult. The run back doesn't really help, depending on the angles.
Yep. Steve?
Oh, it looks like, no, maybe they're going right to it. That's not terrible, I don't think.
Make this triple.
No, it's pretty good. I mean, you're in a position where you now have 2 taps, to be honest. Yeah, that's it's not bad. Also, keep in mind too, Jones Lang have to really go after these. They're probably going to clear them out.
Yeah, there is a double there where if you hit it kind of right in the crotch, hit the right one first and spill the other. I don't think I would have brought it that close for that reason. I would have liked that double to be a little bit more difficult. Leave it, you know, top 12 or even just short of the rings. Show them half of the red on one side, half the yellow on the other side, and make them make a choice. But by putting it there, it's really a no-brainer for Brent.
We are so fortunate watching these games to see some of these things. You know, doubles that just move so quickly sometimes. You know, you sometimes just miss some of these little fine details in terms of strategy. Everybody does.
No.
Ooh, dead nose.
Nice shot.
It's a pretty good
That
result.
is a great result for Jones and Lang. You're going to have a nose double for Sophie Sans-Cartier, but Jennifer will likely still have to make something.
That's fantastic. Got all
Yeah,
3 reds moving, 2 out. Wow.
And that's one where we're talking about creating space. That is a prime example. All the reds flew almost out of the 8-foot. Now Jones and Lang looking a little bit more relaxed.
Yeah, that is a game saver. No question about it.
Yeah, I would just love to have seen what happens if they leave that guard a little higher. because,
Normal down.
like I said, Jones and Lang, we're going to have to make a choice of whether they try to peel it or whether they try to play a little tap freeze on their yellow. But we'll see. Sophie looking for the double, not going to connect. And, oh, what a disappointing ending to a tremendous comeback. Made a game out of it. Down 8-0, tied it 8-8. But Jones and Lang hang on. They're going to take a deep sigh of relief. There's the face from Jennifer that says, oh, man, not exactly how we drew it up. But great effort there from the team from Quebec, and no quitting them, that's obvious. Marty, any final thoughts from you?
I just have to say, Curling Canada social people, maybe that's you, Brian, that's got to be the thumbnail for this video for YouTube. It just has to be that little face that Jennifer Jones just gave. No, I mean, look, just always staying into the game. Look at that scoreboard. That is an incredible achievement. The fact they really were in a good position right up to the 8th is an achievement of itself. Lots more curling like that coming up this week, eh, Brian?
Yeah, for sure. And another one coming up, scheduled for 9 p.m. local time. It will be a little bit late, so if you're tuning in for that, just expect it to be delayed thanks to the issues with the ice. But I will say, if I make that the thumbnail for this video, I think Jennifer would kill me. So I'll try to pick something a little bit more generic. Anyway, for Marty Thompson, I'm Brian Chick. Thanks. We will see you all week right here on YouTube, Curling Canada. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you soon.